Running Google Ads for e-commerce brand is already pretty tough, but selling within a competitive niche when it comes to e-commerce takes this toughness to a whole new level. Now I know about this because I've had to do this multiple times over and over, not only for my own personal brands, but also for my clients' brands under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing. And trust me when I say this, those competitive brands are extremely difficult to overcome when it comes to Google Ads. So here's the thing, what do you personally do if your own e-commerce brand is within a competitive niche, or at least that's what you think it is, and you're really not getting the desired results? You're not able to scale your e-commerce brand to where you want it to be at profitably, and you personally think it's because of the competitiveness. Now, while it's definitely true that competitiveness does take a negative toll on your overall Google Ads strategy, and by negative, I mean that just a lot of extra work is required, it's really not also the end of the world, because there are strategies around this. I know because I've, again, as I mentioned, have the ability to work with multiple different competitive brands, and after that, figure out a few working strategies which just work regardless of what niche that e-commerce brand is in. Now, in order to really understand what kind of strategy is the best for you, it's important to understand the 4 major distinctions with strategies when it comes to e-commerce. The number 1 distinction, the first distinction, is the high competition e-commerce brand. Second one, low competition e-commerce brand. Third one, high ticket, and fourth one, low ticket. So these 4 different distinctions, and I guess you could say categories, all require different kinds of campaign strategies around them. But for this video, we're gonna mostly be kind of looking at that high competition distinction and that category to see exactly what campaign types work the best, what strategy and what approach you should be taking if your e-commerce brand is more on the higher competition side. Now, when it comes to a high competition e-commerce brand, exactly what do we know? We know that the first things first, there are more brands bidding within that niche because of course it's high competition, which means there's a higher ad cost to run an e-commerce brand within that niche. So what that means essentially is you're paying more per link click, you're paying more per customer to get that person on your website, and also as a result, your cost per purchases in most cases will be much higher. That's just a given because again, there's a lot of competitors you're having to deal with within that niche. Number 2 thing, because you have a lot of high competition, because there are so many brands competing with each other, you have a low CTR. I mean, it's just a given. Unless your ads are just out of this world, you're gonna be dealing with low CTR. You're gonna have just CTRs that are on the lower end of the spectrum, and this could mean 0.50 and below. And again, it depends on what niche you're in. I mean, with some niches, even a 1% CTR is considered low because on average, those niches have like 3% CTRs and above. So it depends on the niche you are in, but in general, you should be expecting low CTRs. But in addition, there should be also a much higher demand for those products within that niche. And that's just because in general, if a niche has a lot of high competition and a lot of brands competing with each other, obviously they're within that niche because there's a lot of people wanting to buy within that niche. So a plus point for that niche is there's a lot of consumers wanting to buy in that category. So keeping all of these things in mind, here's what you want to understand. It's simply not enough just to run a good Google Ads campaign strategy or just a Google Ads campaign in general and hope that you end up getting results or a large piece of this pie. Trust me, because again, I've done this myself. I used to think that just having the best campaign type in the world, the best campaign strategy in the world even, is gonna let me get majority of the sales and is gonna knock out all these competitors out of the ballpark just again because I had the best strategy. And trust me, that's not the way to go. That's only a very small piece of the puzzle when it comes to these competitive niches and when it comes to running your Google Ads campaigns within this niche. In addition to an extraordinary Google Ads campaign strategy, here is also what you need to be focusing on and also what we're going to be covering. So the first thing you need to be focusing on is a very good search engine optimization approach and a good SEO technique overall for all of your products. Number 2, you need to be focusing on the best possible chosen images, at least the main image, when it comes to your Google product listings, especially if you want to focus more on shopping ads. Number 3, you gotta focus on having an amazing landing page. I mean, without having a very good landing page that is optimized for conversions, you are not going to be able to get those extraordinary results, or in this case, not even get results at all. But I've gone over in a lot of my videos how to do proper search engine optimization. I've gone over how to choose the right images, so I'm really not going to go over too in depth into that here. What I want to go over is the actual ad strategy that you should be focusing on when it comes to these competitive niches. And what you see right here on my screen is actually an e-commerce brand under my Google Ads agency or marketing, which again, if you're doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, you need a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with just Google Ads alone. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But as you can see right here, we have a bunch of different campaigns running, at least those that are enabled. And in total, we have roughly 10 different campaigns running. Now, this is a very different approach as to what I normally do with a standard ad account, which is not really too competitive, but also not an ad account with barely any competitor. Those kind of ad accounts where I go with a 2-1 launch strategy, which is 2 general testing campaigns and then 1 branded search campaign strategy for those ad accounts with decent amount of competitors. Now, this campaign strategy right here with 10 different ad accounts, it's on a different side. This account is in the fashion niche, hence why we need to have 10 different campaigns with all different kinds of approaches towards shopping. And by the way, if you see, majority of these are shopping campaigns. Now, one thing you will see right away is there's a very heavy reliance on standard shopping campaigns here. And there's a very good reason to this, because with smart shopping, one thing you want to understand is Google's algorithm is very smart. It knows exactly what kind of bids your niche should have and what your products should be bidding at. So with a very competitive niche, for example, this niche right here is very competitive because again, it's fashion. If we look at some of the CPCs, and CPC column is right here at the, we can see right off the bat that some of the CPCs are very high. This is an ad account where the actual currency of the ad account is in New Zealand dollars, but the ad account runs in the United States. But this campaign right here is running at a New Zealand dollars of 99 cents. This one 57 cents, 50 cents, 55, 48 cents, and so on and so forth. This, by the way, it's still on the higher end because the average order value here is really around $50. So this is a much higher number than what I would want to bid for an AOV of $50 or so. But if these were smart shopping campaigns, you better bet that these AOV much higher of around $1, $2, even $3. And that's because with a competitive niche, Google understands that you need to bid higher because your competitors, again, since it's so competitive, are bidding very high. Obviously, it's not really a smart step to do here with an AOV of $50. And as a result, what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna end up going in a very big loss. But Google doesn't understand that because again, Google thinks it's the right thing to do to bid at those high bids because of competition. So you can imagine just how quickly that leads to unprofitability when it comes to a very highly competitive niche. So that's why we have a very heavy reliance on standard shopping campaigns when it comes to competitive niches. But here is the exact overall strategic approach you want to take. So you can see we have different standard shopping campaigns running here, but all of these standard shopping campaigns are running for different countries. So the first standard shopping campaign right here is running for USA only, this one for UK only, this one for Australia and New Zealand, and so on and so forth. So the number one reason why we took this approach in terms of the overall strategy is because with a heavily competitive market, we don't want to focus on just that one market or that one country where competition is high. Because as you can see right here, looking at the overall conversion value over cost, which is essentially the ROAS, the campaign that is getting the best results is not the US campaign, it's the Canada campaign. The next campaign that's a standard shopping campaign is running is a USA campaign. Again, a measly 2.09x ROAS. The third one, a UK campaign. But we would have never known about this kind of approach or these kinds of results if we had not decided to run that standard shopping campaign for just Canada only. So that's the biggest difference with running for these competitive markets. You want to take the standard shopping approach with a very competitive bid, and the bid I recommend starting at around 40 cents to 60 cents. What you really choose is up to you as to how competitive the market is for your niche. Again, if you started at 50 and you notice it's not spending the most amount of money, keep increasing it incrementally every 5 cents or so every 7 days. That's how you're gonna figure out what the ideal bid for that market is. Here, what we found out is that around 45 cents to 50 cents is ideal because it is getting us a decent amount of sales for some of the countries at least. And if we kind of change the time period to this month, we can see that the overall results are actually increasing because this month the ROAS was a 1.61x, and then in the last 7 days it has increased to us. And that's because, again, these standard shopping campaigns, as we're adjusting the bids, they're becoming much smarter, and they're understanding who the right kind of audience type is. This would have never happened if we right off the bat had started with a Performance Max campaign or a Smart Shopping campaign, because Smart Shopping, Performance Max, it's designed to bid high and then get you as many customers as possible at that bid which it thinks it's right, even though that bid might not essentially be the right one for you or your brand. So again, the right kind of strategy I've noticed working the best for competitive brands, regardless of what niche you're in, is to start with standard shopping campaigns. Again, maximize clicks. So if we go right here within this ad account, we can see that some of these might not necessarily be running at that kind of bidding type. So this one is running at, it was only changed later on. Initially, it was running on manual CP, maximize clicks, because that's the go-to strategy, targeting only one country and running at very decent bid limit. So if we look at the bid limit, it's only running at New Zealand dollars of 50 cents. But again, this bid limit will depend on you per product or per ad group in general. You want to launch multiple different campaigns to multiple different countries with standard shopping campaigns route, not Performance Max with one set bid, and then decide if you want to up the bid or lower the bid. And I recommend you go on the lower end of the spectrum. So start your campaigns at maybe 45 cents or maybe 50 cents, and then increase them incrementally over time. Don't just go in right off the bat with a very high bid, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up wasting too much money, and you won't know whether it's because you have a very high bid or if it's because of a very low bid. But that's the best generic approach to take with a very competitive niche with Google Ads. Now, here are some key things to keep in mind. Number one, do not just rely on standard shopping campaigns or just shopping campaigns in general. If you look right here, we have a multiple approach towards running ads for this ad account. So the first one is a shopping campaign, but the very next one is actually a dynamic search campaign running within the United States only. So as you can see, not a bad amount of ROAS for just one sale, but again, this one was just started recently and is starting to get results and is starting to pick up. Because this brand is in such a competitive niche, we have no choice but to start search campaigns, and that too, dynamic search campaigns. In addition, we also have these dynamic remarketing campaigns running. If we look at the overall results for them, we can see that they are starting to get results. I mean, this one right here, even though it's not the best, it is still starting to get results. And by the way, these dynamic remarketing campaigns take a much longer period of time to get results compared to any other campaign type you launch. That's just the nature of these campaigns, but you still need to have them, because what's happening is with these competitive niches, these campaigns are providing each other data on an account level. So because they're submitting data on an account level to each other, naturally they're going to be able to understand and learn from each other and become smarter at a much faster pace compared to you just running standard shopping campaigns or Performance Max campaigns for that matter. So with competitive niches, it's important to get those data points from multiple different campaign types, and the best way to do that is, of course, through just launching different kinds of campaign types. But again, if this kind of goes through your head, you would rather get help with Google Ads and you're already doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue with your e-commerce brand, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, make sure to destroy that like button, destroy that subscribe button, and watch any of these two videos right in front of my face to take your e-commerce brand's journey to the next level. And I will see you in my next video.